everyone, the team is back. And the name of the team is, Melvin?
The fire you can't put out.
But wait a minute, Melvin. You sound so much better. What's going on here? What's going on here?
This week, I am beating back an illness, so it's added more machismo to my voice.
Wow. Sounds like you got a new microphone.
Oh, there's that as well.
Now, I don't want to do a commercial for the microphone, but you know what? Without that mic, I don't think we have a snowball chance in the hell that we can hear you. Anyway,
that's very clever.
That was a joke.
It's a very.
That's very.
It's a very nice.
Now I get it.
Now you get it. Yeah, no, and it is. It looks like a freaking snowball. So
Anyway, so okay. Well, a lot of things happened this week, and a lot of things that we need to talk about today that is related to what we talked about last week, because that's how news happens. You know, something happened last week and then something happens again this week that's related to something happened last week. But before we do that, I want to do some housekeeping stuff. Yes, we do have a Facebook page. The address is facebook.com/TFYCPO. Say that again. It's www.facebook.com/TFYCPO. So if you are on Facebook, hop on, give us a like, and give us a comment. Comment on our episodes. You can totally, because I think I do have that feature turned on. So when you hear something in that episode that you like or dislike, or you want to check with us about, just leave us a comment.
Feel free to give us some feedback on it, and as the show continues to grow, we will respond to you on the air.
Right, and we do also have a email address. Email address is tfycpo@gmail.com. Say that again. It's tfycpo@gmail.com. And everybody know by now what TFYCPO stands for, right? What does it stand for, Melvin?
The fire you can't put out.
Man, I can go on and on with that.
May I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
For my own clarity. Okay, did you just tell them that you can make comments now on the Facebook page or on iTunes?
On Facebook page and iTunes, actually.
Ooh,
yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
So give us some feedback.
Now, here's the thing: we are on iTunes in the iTunes store. So that means in the iTunes store, if you search, Melvin.
The fire you can't put out.
Our little link is going to pop up, so you can subscribe to the show directly from iTunes Store. So you can do that. But there's also a section on iTunes that you can leave comment to us and rate our show. So yeah, if you don't mind going on to iTunes and leave us a rating and a comment, that would be awesome. And the other thing, of course, is we need to thank Open Sky Radio again in San Francisco for hosting us and giving us a lot of technical support and giving us the support that we need to actually pipe our shows to the iTunes Store. Okay, so before we start the main part of the show, I have a plea to planet Earth in general. We're getting serious. Where's everybody?
No,
We're
right here. Go on, girl.
Wait,
Okay.
we're on planet Earth.
Okay.
We're up.
So, there was a report on Rachel Maddow last night, and I know a lot of people on Facebook and the interweb is talking the tubes, as
the TV machine.
Yeah, about internet trolls. And I guess my plea is, and I have a lot of my friends doing this, not being trolls, right? But they are answering trolls. Can I plead to everybody to not do that? Because there's no point. There's really no point. I mean, they are meant to say crazy things, and they meant to be disagreeable, and they meant to be very controversial, and they meant to really piss you off. So I guess if you answer them, you play right into their hands. And I don't know if that exists in the U.S., but here is the and I think this is proven true, that the Chinese government actually hire a bunch of guys to do just trolling, and they pay them 5 cents a message.
We have it here too. And
we have it here too.
They pay them per post.
Yeah, and in over there they call them the 5-cent gang.
Oh.
So because every message you're going to leave, the government is going to pay you 5 cents, right?
Right.
Do they get money when somebody responds to them as well?
I don't know. Well, they
that's
somebody.
What I heard about
the
ones here in the U.S. That's
they,
what I heard.
You know what they get the most amount of money for? The trolls. And by the way, you can do a Google search. There's all kinds of people that they call themselves confessed. How was the word? Confessed shills. And what it is now is they're coming out and they're going, yeah, I was paid this, that, and the other for what I did. They're paid the most if they can get on the talk shows. It's like $50 if they for each call if they can get onto a liberal talk show. Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think if you just keep arguing with them, well, however their intention is. I mean, if they are for real, if they really think, if they are really believing what they believe in, like how much we believe in what we believe in, or they're just trolls, for being a troll sake, right?
I would like to disagree a little bit, not entirely. I run a blog online, and I have always responded to trolls. And the reason I do now, I understand what they're trying to do, and I really think I do a fair job of throwing it back in their face, and taking the high road. Yes, I engage them in conversation, and yes, I get a response until they just can't take it anymore. Now, as much as I don't really care for slogans, I'll call it killing them with kindness. Right. Like recently, someone came on and called me all kinds of names, and I wrote him back, and I go, well, I'm a reasonable human being. Perhaps if you came to me, you started a conversation with me, we could have a good back and forth. And the reason I talk with them is because I see it like this. I don't want to just live inside of an echo chamber. I want to hear from these people, and I understand that they're just going around setting fires in trash cans and running, but I'm gonna respond to them just the same. Now, of course, if they get abusive, obviously at that point there's no point in talking to them. Now, Rachel made a fine point. She called it punching down, and I'm not going to disagree with her. Right. Okay, fine. I'm punching down a little bit now. With most of the pages that I've seen, most of the progressive pages, they've got just an outright policy. If you're a troll, you're getting banned. I generally, I don't want to do that. I will wait, and I will sometimes, and they'll take a swing at me, and I don't necessarily take a swing back, but they're going to feel me when I come at them.
Well, I guess my inspiration for this plea is for the past couple of nights, I have witnessed a really nonsensical conversation on one of my friends' page about something immigration. And, somebody, I'm not going to go into details, but somebody make one of these internet meme that, it just doesn't make any sense. And somebody says something back, and then they just launch, and then it launch into like a 50 message thread, which none of it makes sense.
Right.
None of it makes sense. So I'm like, why even spook them? I mean, leave them alone. I mean, they if they want to think what they think, well, I guess if they actually make any kind of sense, I guess there are some discussion. There's some room for discussion. So, but if the other, I'm sorry, but let me finish this. So if somebody is just so nonsensical, there is no sense. It makes no sense to respond to it because it's over. The conversation is over. And the other thing that inspired me to do this today is, Secretary Stephen Chu, is going to resign as Secretary of Energy, right?
Right.
Stephen Chu is somebody I really respect. Not just because he's an Asian American, but this guy. If you read the CV of this guy, he's awesome, right? It's awesome. Yeah. And some of the comments I read on Huffington Post is this guy even American? Because his last name is Chu. Yeah. And I saw one kind of clever response that says, "No, Sulu is going back to Starfleet." Well. On being a Trekkie/tracker, I can appreciate that, but that comment that there's we're not talking about KKK bad, but there's faintly a hint of racism in there.
There's not a hint. I think
and
that's
of
his
course,
face.
no,
right,
that's a hammer.
there's a little bit. I give him the benefit of the doubt there, but the other thing is, if you know Star Trek, I'm sorry, Stephen Chu is more like Spock. Okay, it's a science officer. So
yes, because I follow George Takei's.
Right. So anyway,
oh my.
So I'm like,
Yes.
so that's kind of several things that inspire me to think, response to these, we call it, I don't know if there's an equivalent in English, but in the Cantonese media, in Hong Kong, we call these the floating spirits, evil spirits that would just come in. There's no name. There's you don't know where they come from. They just there. They left something and then they disappeared. So these are the floating evil spirit on the internet that there's no point to respond to them. You get what I'm saying?
If I may, I want to make this point. I spend quite a bit of time absorbing right-wing media, writings, talk shows, things of that nature. And what I've noticed about these guys aren't showing up in threads, in whatever, with their own ideas. See, when I listen to the right-wing radio and I read the articles on Drudge and all these other pages, and then I hear these guys talk, I hear them actually using the pre-approved talking points. So it's really, really easy for me to shut them down because I know what they heard, I know where they heard it, and I've already done my research on it. So
if I can add to that point, okay, so take it a step further. You have the right wing. I know it's fun to say right wing. Right wing. The right wing trolls, and I will call them trolls, provocateurs, who appear on the Rachel Maddow Facebook page that goes along with her show. Now, see, it's really fun for me because I follow that show every day, or that page every day on Facebook. I'm a regular there. And she came out and talked about trolls last night, and I thought you could have just as well have taken it one step further and said, and they're right here on, my Facebook page. But she very carefully runs her page, or whoever does it for her. I'm assuming it's someone else who does.
Yeah.
One of the producers.
Right. But they don't take anything off. You really, really have to make a whole lot of people angry to get banned from that page. They leave everything up. They figure their people who follow that page can deal with it. So we try to. And okay, so I'm on a 24-hour ban from Facebook right now.
Whoa.
With my regular account. And
what?
I want you to know why. We got up this morning. There's a group of us who discussed this a little bit, and we started blocking them because it has gotten out of hand. And we honestly believe, and it's because I teach writing, so I look at syntax, the way people write, and I can recognize a similar pattern in someone's writing. So somebody tries to pretend that they're someone else, but they write exactly the same way. Okay. And we have one particular person who is making a whole lot of Facebook pages and profiles and pretending to be different people. And come on, I don't know how many computers this must mean he's got going, and I don't even want to think about that. It's just crazy to even think somebody would do this.
It's creepy.
Right.
It's creepy, but you see him even talking to himself in order to get us to go along with it. Well, some of us have figured that out, and so I said something about phishing for information with respect to two of these avatars of his.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got banned.
Well,
That's weird.
I guess
I got reported for saying that. It's because I got too close to the truth, which
I think so too.
Here we go. But honestly, what you're saying, I want to get back to what Kevin was saying and the point that you're making, because it's really important that we make that point. And what Melvin was adding, and you can actually look at what they're saying, and you can ask them for a source, and they'll take you right back to Breitbart and Fox and all those, and you just know immediately, okay, all you're doing is vomiting out what somebody
You are vomiting.
say.
Yeah.
Kevin, I wanna agree with you. And by the way, you'll be happy to know I don't spend too much time with these people. I just indulge from time to time. But I get what you're saying.
I guess this
it is a bit of a waste of time. You have to know you're punching a wall when you're dealing with these people.
I guess the slight disagreement we have, I guess, here on this thing is I just don't have the same enthusiasm on answering back.
And I've lost mine, very frankly, Kevin. After this incident, I've lost it.
I don't even think we have a real disagreement on this. I think we've got a nice round discussion on this from a couple of different angles. I think that's relevant.
Well,
but yeah, I will continue to indulge from time to time because I just can't help it. But I won't spend too much. I won't waste too much time.
Anyway, we just spend 14 minutes talking about not responding to trolls. So that's ironic.
Eyes off the clock, young man.
Yeah,
but it's fine because it was a really valid important point that Rachel Maddow brought up last night. And these people are just spreading fear.
Yeah.
And they are just spreading provocation, and they just want to see you get distracted from what the real issue is. So if we wanted to go, to some of the big issues going on right now, and I'm not going to delve into those right now, but if we all were focused on how do we change things so that this never happens again, or this is fixed, okay, then we'd be getting somewhere. But these people don't want to see anything change because they're afraid of change. Okay, so it's all fear-based, ignorance and fear-based, and they just want to distract you from staying on point.
Man, I don't even think it's that profound. I think if you elevate them to such a level, you are giving them too much credit. But
maybe.
Yeah. No, but anyway, you know what? Let's move on, shall we?
We shall.
So I think for the first main thing today we need to talk about is to update something that we talked about last week.
The burglar with no pantalones.
The naked burglar.
The naked
burglar, who, by the way, was freed Monday from the Spokane County jail.
Actually, he was released from jail on Tuesday.
It says Monday in this. Poorly.
Are you reading the spokesman again?
This is a very confusing town.
Okay.
Different. I guess different part of town have different time zones.
Yep.
So,
day
you know what? Some part of town.
Was released.
Some part of town, the clock says 1939. So.
That's hilarious.
So
here's the deal.
Right.
Here's the deal. They did not file any formal charges against him within the mandatory 72-hour period. We were trying to discuss this before we went on the air, because we're trying to think about whether that means the people who caught him naked in their apartment didn't think it was such a big deal and didn't file charges, felt sorry for the guy. I don't know. The Spokane County Prosecutor's Office said it didn't receive the reports it needed from Spokane Police. Okay. Which to me goes right to the heart of what I was trying to bring up when we talked about this before.
Yeah.
This guy is a level 3 sex offender. Level 3 sex offenders are considered most likely to reoffend. Yeah. And we have an officer who says, right in this article, which, by the way, I'm just going to point this out, we all agree is not well written. It says that he doesn't appear to be a threat to the community.
Well, he's that which doesn't make any sense because apparently he is, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, just by virtue of being a level 3 sex offender, I don't actually, honestly, I don't even know how those guys get out.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of a complicated issue because they lump, as far as I know, the sex offender thing, the record, they lump multiple things into the category.
Yes, they do.
So in a way, it's kind of it might be a bad word to say, but it's kind of a category of people that it's kind of a legal category that is a catch-all. But there are a lot of individual cases that it's a very complicated situation. But
his prior conviction,
right,
he was sentenced to 1 year for third-degree assault.
Yeah.
And he also has a prior conviction for third-degree assault with a sexual motivation for threatening to kill a developmentally delayed woman if she didn't have sex with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't he on strike 3 already?
He has problems.
Well, aren't the levels are those based on frequency or severity? How do they base those? I mean, it sounds like severity.
Yeah. It's different categories of the of what happened, of what the offense is,
Yeah.
But well, okay. So here's a little bit of not really breaking news because this is from yesterday's news, but he says here from KXLY, he was released from jail on Tuesday over paperwork issue, which is like what the paperwork issues. So what? So it got stuck in the inter office envelope somewhere
They didn't. It's those reports they're still trying to get.
Right, but police rearrested him on Wednesday. So he's back in the
he's back
under custody.
Oh my God!
For what?
So I don't understand. I don't understand how this thing works because,
Oh, okay. So this guy isn't out on the street.
Well, I mean, in a way.
It's Thursday.
Okay. Hear me out here because this is going to sound weird.
Go ahead.
But if you do that, well, I understand where this person is coming from. But it's not fair to him, right? Because, you didn't file the paperwork, so he got released, and then the next day you pick him up again.
Well, it's habeas corpus, isn't
it?
Right. I have spent some time in the Spokane jail, not in the way you think. I was visiting there during a ride along, and that place is so overcrowded.
But you know what?
I think it's really easy. This kind of thing probably happens with more frequency than we're seeing, but because this is kind of a higher profile case because of the weird nature of the case, and they've messed it up now, and so I think it's really shining a light on the kind of this kind of thing that really happens at the Spokane jail all the time. They have more than they can deal with, and they really don't have room for all these people.
But now they're saying that I'm just reading from the reports here. Detectives say the naked man who tried to get into a home at the intersection of 30th and Manito Boulevard on January 6th was actually a teenage boy playing a prank, and was not related to him. So remember last time when Angela,
we thought
he was in the damn house.
Right. We thought
he was in the apartment.
No. We thought what happened so this guy committed what he committed in the Browns edition, right?
Right.
And then there was other incidents in South Hill.
Manito.
Yeah, on the other side of the freeway, and they originally thought the same person perpetrated all these naked / burglary incidences, but turned out that wasn't the case. So, and then now they say, and for a while, I think one of the comment on one of the boards says, well, does that mean the SPD is telling us there are 2 naked burglars running around town now? So it's like, it's pretty crazy. And I think the point that Angela was making last time was so poignant. The mental illness thing.
We don't know what to do.
No, we don't.
With people, and I personally know of 2 to 3 cases of young people who have anger issues, mental illness, and sex offense kinds of charges, and I mean you can put them in the psychiatric unit. But ultimately, you end up putting them in juvenile detention if they're a minor, or you end up putting them, as this guy was put, into prison. And then at some point you have to release them because the charge isn't enough to keep them there indefinitely. Right. I mean, so what they really need to be is somewhere where they are safe and society is safe, that isn't a prison.
Yeah.
I think we need to start allocating money for the mentally ill. Now, I think a lot of
Yes.
people go, oh, I don't want to do that. It's not worth my money. It's not going to affect me. Well, actually, when these guys do the things that they're doing, yeah, it's going to affect you. And I think we need to make it a priority. I think, I've read this in a number of different places that most of our homeless are really just mentally ill people. We need to not only allocate money, but make people realize the actual value that it will have in their lives personally if these people aren't, roaming the streets.
Yeah, and
And that may involve housing and counselors
Right.
and a special place
and
for
not,
these people to live.
and not treat them like criminals.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Kevin. Not treat them like criminals.
No.
Treat them with some dignity, but give them the help they need. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I think it's such. I thought we should be past that stage, as in whenever we talk about, well, this is going to launch into a brand. We have the potential to launch into a brand new thing.
I will restrain myself.
I think as a society, I thought we're past the stage of, always talk about the money aspect of when we talk about healthcare and mental illness, care for mental illness. It's well, we don't have enough funding for it. I mean, we can't. It's beyond talking about money. But I thought you guys help me out here. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
I mean,
and
it's always
I would agree that we should be past that point too. And I was just trying to stay back and let you make your point. But honestly, though, the money still comes into it. Because that's what people are more or less told to think. They go, well, we can't afford this and we can't afford that. We can't do this, we can't do that. But you know what we can do? The Defense Department has more money than they know what to do. We need to reprioritize. I think we are a lot in the age of Ayn Rand again, because so many of the libertarians, if you think about with the most recent election, even leading right up to the Republican convention, how much power and how much sway Ron Paul held by telling everybody, you only need to worry about you. Nobody else. You're the only person in the whole wide world. And so that culture of selfishness has obviously permeated itself in many parts of our society.
Right.
And so people say, well, we can't do it because of money, or we can't do it because I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Taking care of the few that needs help is what a civilized society should be doing.
Agreed.
It's always like whenever you talk about healthcare and people talk about people that really needs help. It's like you always the funding, the money part of it always comes in and trumps everything, and then end of discussion.
Yep.
It's just. And yes, and then somebody says, well, why don't you pay 90% of the tax? That's another discussion.
It's obviously a factor, but it's not the factor that they're making it out to be.
You know what? It's almost neat to have a commercial that says MRI, it's $2,000. Medication for a month is $50,000. Having a civilized society is priceless.
I like that idea.
I like that.
You should make a meme out of that.
And meme again. So I should be a troll. I should be a troll.
I don't know.
Thing is, Kevin, you would not be a good troll.
Yeah, I won't be. So I guess obviously our listeners in Spokane or around here, they're gonna pay attention to this one, because this is kind of remarkable in an awful kind of way. There is a sex offenders involved here. So I guess it's everybody should be paying attention to that. But for our listeners from other parts of the world, other parts of the country, I think we probably you'll probably hear us talking about this again, because this is
it's going to come up again,
right?
For sure. Come up again. This story's not over.
Yeah. So okay, so let's let that one go for now.
Let's
hey.
No,
there's when we were chatting about on Facebook about what are we going to talk about for this week's show, and I kind of says, you know what, can we just not talk about gun control for this week, just to take our minds off gun control for a week? And bam, I'm sorry. I don't.
If you like, we
it's
can.
getting late.
Later in the show, we'll talk about
Right.
your word choices.
Right, but the president came out with, and you know what? I'm sorry. A little partial here. I am a Democrat. I voted for the president, and once again, I was so proud to have voted for him because he, when he wants something done, he got it done,
Right.
in 2 or 3 weeks. So he signed 23, right, executive orders.
23 executive orders.
Related to gun control yesterday. I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
See, and you know what? I'll tell you something. There were quite a few shootings during his first during his first term.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, I'm proud he did it finally. I think it's a little unfortunate. It took 20 dead first graders before he could finally get enough people on board. I agree with the reason why he didn't bring it up during his first term, because the minute he got elected, and I'm sure you guys remember this, every single gun store in the entire United States just sold out.
Right.
Just
Yes.
no guns whatsoever.
He's going to take our guns.
That's right. And then he did one thing during his first term.
Yes.
He strengthened. He made it legal to take guns on Amtrak trains and into
national parks.
And into national parks. And that's the only thing he did. Now I get why he stayed away from it, because it is such it elicits so many emotions. Yeah. And it can, it's a nasty taste in so many people's mouth the minute you bring it up. But honestly,
there are political concerns there too, because you don't want one really hot button issue that can box down everything else. You don't want that situation.
Well, and
we have it now.
Well, no. It's not true, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. It's okay for the people where guns are an issue, as in they love guns. It's really, really freaking hot for them. Like, it couldn't be hotter. For those of us that have concerns about guns, it's a hot issue for us, right. But we're not trying to take away guns. We just want something to be done. So it makes it seem like that there are more people that are saying, don't have that discussion. All you're trying to do is take our guns away. When really it's just the I don't know what the word is. The morons are so much louder than everybody else. And I say that because anybody who's so paranoid to think that they're coming for your guns, when we have almost as many guns as we have actual people, you know what? You're so paranoid. Maybe someone should take at least your gun, because with that kind of paranoia, you're going to start shooting at your own shadow.
Did we talk about this last week, that if the federal government really showed, I said that wrong, government really showed up at your front door and wanted to take your guns,
right?
Do you think any kind of personal arsenal?
Yeah, we brought that up.
Would be effective
every time.
Right.
Every time we talk about this. So.
Right.
Well, you know what? Let's not spend any more time on talking about this.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Because Monday is Martin Luther
King Day. It's also Inauguration Day.
By our readiness to allow firearms to be purchased at will and fired at whim, we have created an atmosphere in which violence and hatred have become popular pastimes.
Right. Martin
Martin Luther King Jr.
God, and that was 40 some years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was in the car when I heard the president say this. The president mentioned we need to put in funding to do research on what violent video games. Do you guys catch that speech that he did?
Yes.
We need to do. I'm so glad he said that, because, well, I'm gonna, I don't know how much trouble I'm gonna get into, and I'm sure some of my friends, personal friends, would argue with me on this. But I do think, and I'm pretty sure I brought this up the first show. I do think violent video games and things, violent quote unquote entertainment, do have a certain effect on people in general. And you cannot tell me that you're playing one of these video games that it's okay to shoot everybody and watch their heads explode. You cannot tell me that mentally does not desensitize somebody, the players, in terms of treating violence. There has to be an effect.
Well, and of course that effect is going to be different for everybody. Now,
Right.
I say this at the behest of potentially losing my liberal card, but I don't necessarily play those games, but I do have one video game I like to play where I get to shoot zombies. But Zombies. I am a stable person, and of course I qualify it by saying zombies, but honestly, there's just as much blood, and there's and it does cause people to see other people as not people.
But to a point that there's some games, okay, if this really is too disturbing to you, you can stop listening for the next 30 seconds. But remember like Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
There was you can actually pull somebody's head up and pull somebody's spinal cord. The whole thing, you pull it out and just blood dripping over the place. Do we really need that? Do we really need that?
No.
That's awful.
No.
Do we need that? We don't need that.
I don't think we do. And although I believe that video games and movies certainly play a role, I don't think they play as large a role as the way we treat our people.
Well, I guess that's really great about being a liberal or progressives, right? Because we wrestle theoretically and mentally with issues like this, because it is complicated. Because it is a form. You can argue that it is a form of expression, and should be protected by First Amendment, etc., etc. But also stuff like that really, if you ask me, they are really creating a problem. So what do we do? Do we put in regulations to regulate, how violence we get on video games? But we can't do that because, as liberals, we believe that, expression there should be like freedom, complete freedom in terms of expression. So what do we, I think it's a good thing that we would, wrestle with ourselves on this kind of issues. I think the fact that we are talking about this and agreeing and disagree within, different elements of within the same issue, I think it's already progress. We are thinking about it. We're talking about it, instead of everybody just marching in lockstep.
Right.
Am I making sense?
No, you are. You absolutely no. But I thought it was a fine point.
I've been struggling with this for the longest time because I do have a lot of friends that love playing the video games. And I was a kid once, and I play those games. You're shooting things without thinking about it. But as I grow older, I'm like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean when I shoot something on screen? When I shoot a person on screen, when I shoot an animal on screen. Well, yeah, in reality, nothing got shot. Right. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Me as a person, me as a thinking, hopefully civilized individual. What does it mean? Is that okay now?
I think you're. I mean, perhaps you say in the front of your mind can sort of tell the difference between that and actually killing something. But I think in the back of your mind, perhaps it alters your reality a little bit, and I think it perhaps does release some of the same chemicals you would if you were actually bloodletting.
Right. Well, then I think I should stop here. But you guess what? You know what I'm saying, right? I mean, even though I'm just shooting, computer bits, a 3 command lines in a software program.
Where's the line that you step over?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand in terms of me. I'm sure somebody that's listening to this is like, oh, this guy's an idiot. But, me as a human being picking up a weapon, shooting something, whether or not that something is real or just a computer image, I have to rethink back to my humanity, as in, why is that okay for me to do that but not that? Anyway, this is just a kind of a philosophical thing that I think about. But anyway, so I think we were talking about, like, on the gun control thing. We're not going to talk about it that much this week because we basically, well, it's too late now, right? But we basically agree with most everything that the president have done this week. Yep. So there's really on that front,
including 23 executive orders.
Right.
Let's go ahead. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and depending on where this story goes, let's take it up a few shows from now and see what actually comes out of this.
Yeah. There's not much discussion here this week on this.
Not this week. No.
Okay, so I guess Melvin, you want to talk about death?
I want to get with the fiscal cliff
launch
or bunny hop or whatever it is. Now behind us, we are speed bump. We are now headed into the debt ceiling debate. Now, during Bush's term, the debt ceiling was raised 7 times without a fight. They were beating down Bush's door saying, please, we want to raise it. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Now, back in 2010, when the Republicans came into power in the House, that was the whole teabagger movement. They, as a gimmick, during the first day where they got together, everybody they wanted to read the Constitution on the floor. Now, they took a little heat because they left out the parts they didn't like the word union, but they read they read the Constitution on the floor because they wanted to make the point that our president isn't a constitutionalist, which is weird because he's a constitutional lawyer. Now this year they did the same thing again at the beginning of the 113th Congress. They go, you know what? We're going to read the Constitution on the floor again. However, this time around, there were a lot less Republicans that were willing to do it, but they went ahead and they still did it. So Congressman Dennis Ross got to read Section 4 of the 14th Amendment, which reads, the validity of public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment and bounties for services suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, which means it is their constitutional duty to raise the debt ceiling. There's no question. Now, I wanna put a challenge out to everybody. Now, over in Spokane, you guys have Kathy McMorris Rogers, and over here, my representative is Herrera Butler. Okay, I want to put a challenge out to everybody out there who's got a right-wing congressman. Now, we've got 2 great female senators, so we can not bother with them because they're gonna do the right thing. But if you've got a congressman or congresswoman who is a conservative who is defending the Second Amendment right now, you should go ahead and call them up and say, well, they're going to defend the Second Amendment. Perhaps you should defend the 14th Amendment as well if you're such a strict constitutionalist.
Yeah, because you swear an oath to the entire Constitution of the United States, not just pick and choose whatever you want, right? This is not a la carte, my friend.
And with them screaming at the top of their lungs all the time about the importance of the Constitution, read the Constitution. They print it on T-shirts and bath towels, and they make it their screensaver at home. They go, the Constitution, but they're supposed to raise the debt ceiling. So they say, well, Obama wants to spend money. Obama's no. The debt ceiling gets raised for money that has already been spent.
Thank you for saying that. That's what's important here. This
is where it's time to pay bills, and they go, well, Obama's spending too much. No. Obama doesn't have the power to spend money. He doesn't have the power to make laws. I don't think people. This is basic high school civics. I don't think people realize the actual power the president has. In my opinion, the most powerful thing that he has is electing or nominating people to the Supreme Court. But even then, they have to go through Congress before they exactly. But that's a pretty powerful thing that he does because those are for life. So when they say, well, he's spending too much money, no. If you don't like what's happening with taxes, if you don't like what's happening with debt, you need to talk to your congressman because they, in the House, by the way, who holds the purse strings, only they can spend money. Obama doesn't get to spend any money. He can set the agenda and go forward and say, I would like you to pass this law. Right. I would like you to spend money on this. But he does not get to say, spend money on this. I don't need you guys. I'm just going to spend money on this. He doesn't have that power.
Right.
Basic high school civics.
So,
Basic.
and it's just pretty obvious to everybody that the Republicans in the House they are just being obstructionist, right? So,
Right.
whatever the president go for, they're going to say no, And I almost so hope they're going to pull that $1 trillion coin stunt.
That is so
in a way that is so awesome. That's like a West Wing episode, but but they're not going to do that because I guess that would set some kind of dangerous precedents.
Well, real quick, what sort of allows them to do that is money. Our coins, our coins are the only currency that is actually made by our government. Our folding money is made by the Federal Reserve.
Right.
So because they make the coins, he could make a $1 trillion coin and go, well, guess what? I don't need Congress now. But I think it's good.
It is a stunt.
It's a stunt, and he came out and he made a statement. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. So I think he did that, and he responded to the people because obviously the president has said any petition to get 25,000 signatures, the White House will now respond to. I think it was on that same day he came out and responded to the 25,000 people that signed the petition to have the Death Star built.
Yeah, sometimes I'm sure this is kind of a tangent, but
go ahead.
It's like kind of inspired the $1 trillion coin thing. Kind of inspired me to think, what it really is money. Money is such an abstract concept.
Well, especially when you consider that everybody. Okay, not everybody, but you will come up against people who will try and argue you down that we have moved away from the gold standard.
Yeah,
which.
But you know what I'm saying though? Like most of us get paid from wherever we get paid ever, electronically, right?
Right.
So when they pay you electronically, so it's basically just a number exists in cyberspace in a server somewhere. Right. You spend money. You spend money, and how do we spend it these days? Most of us do credit card, and then hopefully most of us will pay everything off by the end of the month with those numbers in that server, and then transfer some of that number to the other server.
Right.
So there's no actual cash. I mean, there is no. So what are we actually? What is money? I'm sure somebody have written like philosophy department has probably conspired. Oh, that's a wrong word, didn't it? Because philosophy department probably get together with the economics department and wrote some papers on, philosophically what really is money. Because
it really is interesting because you're right. Now, I'm thinking about it now, and I actually, we've got, quite a few bills with the house and the power bill and everything, but I actually handle very, very little cash. I look at this screen and I see this number, and I move it over to that screen for, and decrease that number. Exactly. And that's really the only way I handle money.
A lot of us buy stuff on the internet,
that's all credit cards.
It's like that big river in Brazil.com, and
can you?
That's very clever.
But
do either of you use your iPhone?
Yeah.
Money uploaded on your iPhone.
You buy coffee with Starbucks, right? So there's an app, right? So
But in other countries, that is instead of carrying around your
right
debit card.
Now in Hong Kong, our friends who are listening in Hong Kong, they're like, oh, I know about this. The octopus card. In Hong Kong, there's a system that you actually run around with a card. Actually, Seattle has something like that, but they can only do transit. But in Hong Kong, you can use this card to buy stuff. This card, you can load money directly from your credit card into this card. So you can run around with this card. You can, ride a bus, ride the subway with this card, and at the same time, a lot of shops actually allow you to pay. So 7-Eleven, right, in Hong Kong, you don't even need cash. You can grab a can of soda, go to the counter, and just hover your wallet or purse above this little device, and then beep, and then you paid, and then they deduct money from your account. So there's no cash anywhere. So yeah, I'm sorry I launched into this, but
No. It's fine. And obviously this is one of those constantly changing things too. But I've heard a few discussions over the last number of months about a cashless society because of the way that we handle we handle money now. I remember cashing my first paycheck when I was 18 years old and going into the bank, and I gave them my ID and they handed me a wad of cash. I couldn't tell you the last time I've done that. And it's not that I haven't made money. I certainly have, but the way we handle money.
When is the last time you actually get paid by cash? I mean, I don't remember it. I mean, I don't remember the.
You know what? I do, and I'll tell you why. I sold a couple of pieces of furniture to somebody on Craigslist, and I told them, "You better bring cash, or you're not getting it. Don't bring me a check, or anything. I mean, you better." Yeah. So I made them bring cash. Now, had it been somebody I knew, I would have probably folded and said, "Yeah, give me a damn check."
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of these things that, when I can't sleep, I think about. So, and I think about it often because I drink way too much coffee. So,
hey.
So, the debt ceiling. I mean, we have another round of that in later, right? In February. And this struggle is not going to end anytime soon,
If I may just finish that point off with now obviously they're only opposing it because it's Obama, and they really think that because people don't understand their own government, they really think that this whole debt ceiling thing is going to come back on Obama, and I don't think they realize now their numbers, Republicans' numbers, are in the toilet. Actually, that's being forgiving to say their numbers are in the toilet. They're under the damn toilet.
They've been flushed. Yes.
Well, absolutely, and I think that's the surprising thing that's gonna happen is my prediction. Is it's going to come back and bite them hard. But they think right now, because most people don't understand how government works, they're thinking, because we tell everyone the president does it, they're just going to think he did it, and we won't have to take any of the heat for it.
Right. I mean, I hope there will be political consequences on this. But let's see what happens. So. Well, you know what? It's already 50 plus minutes. Can you believe this?
I never can.
So, you know what?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, so, the money thing, it really bugs me all the time. What are we spending? What are we earning? What are we exchanging our effort for?
Right.
Well, anyway, so, okay. So we are almost at, we're at at least the third act or the fourth quarter of the show. Right?
I think, yeah.
So I want to introduce a new thing this time, because there are a lot of news stories out there. A lot of things happen during the weekend. There's no, and we shouldn't. No way in hell, and we shouldn't spend 15 minutes to cover each thing every week.
Agreed.
So you know what? Why not just do a lightning round? And do a segment I call Dishonorable Mentions. So I guess the idea is pick a couple of things that happened this week, and then we just, quickly bring it up, quickly talk about it, and then we, send it, get well soon card and go away, please.
Okay.
Right. So the first thing I can think of today is the any football fans out there.
Woo woo.
The whole Manti Teʻo incident. He's a football player from Notre Dame, and I don't know. Do you guys? Some of our listeners may already know what I'm talking about. But
I heard a little bit about it, but not
so
much.
It's so confusing. I have to read it like several times because the whole thing sounds so wacky. So basically, everybody. He keep telling, and everybody has the understanding, and he keep telling people, and people around him keep telling people, and I think his family keep telling people that he has a girlfriend who died on January 3rd, I believe, of leukemia. And turns out that whole thing's a hoax. There's no girlfriend. And then a lot of really confusing things come out. It's like, is he in this, or is he a victim, or are we talking about like a catfish incident? Do you know?
Right.
Do you guys know what catfish is?
No, what is that?
I think you better explain that.
Well, okay, catfish is. We're like gonna. What is that line from JFK? It's like the enigma wrapped into a riddle or something.
An enigma wrapped in a riddle. Right.
So okay, catfish is a movie. It's a kind of a quasi documentary that this guy is supposedly having a relationship with somebody on Facebook.
Okay.
And they were talking a lot, and and then they decided to really have a relationship. So it's like, what, I don't want to give the movie away, but it's already out there, and the guy actually was talking on the news today, so I guess it's okay to talk about it. So when they finally agree to meet, she turns out not to be who she appeared to be on Facebook.
Of course.
So the whole thing is kind of a hoax, right?
Right.
So so a lot of people are wondering if this is a catfish type incident, that he was actually the football player, Manti, was so naive that he was fooled completely by other people. Right.
Oh,
right.
So in other words, this whole thing went on online, and when he was really supposed to meet her. Right,
and then the whole thing sounds so legit too, because like he keep telling people she is really smart, really beautiful, and she is a research fellow, I believe, in Stanford. And turns out Stanford has nobody with that, couldn't find anybody with that name, right? And they got and then he was circulating. There was a couple of pictures of this alleged person circulating on the internet, but it turns out these two pictures were, of somebody else. So the whole thing was really confusing. And now the speculation is, is he actually part of this hoax that they are trying to cook up so he can gain sympathy points, so he can win the Heisman.
It's so weird.
So wasn't there another family member that was supposed to have died as well?
Yeah. There's his grandmother also died.
Okay.
I think a few days before that.
His grandmother did die.
Yeah. So I frankly, and listen, guys, I don't think I'm an idiot, but for a day and a half, I just read a few things, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. Because you know what? Tell the truth. I read everything. I read more reports. There's a really long article on ESPN. Finally, that I read it. That I think I understand what's going on. And then after I read that, I'm like, I understand why this doesn't make sense to me. Because, and I might actually kind of sound like an a-hole when I say this, but this whole scheme is so stupid. I didn't think anybody will be crazy enough to try to pull this off. Because you know what?
Well, you aren't the only one that was confused by it and had to read it over and over and over again. Now, I don't know if you ever checked the Google Trends, but yesterday's number one Google trend was this story.
Yeah,
it's a pretty unbelievable story.
Right. I mean, but see, here's what I'm thinking.
It was a hashtag trending last night as well. Right.
Here's what I'm thinking. This day and age, if you want to do very simple rudimentary research, it's pretty easy to do. Yes. You just hop on the internet, type in a couple of things, and then you do have to have a little bit of research skill. Now, we're not talking about you're trying to do research on, ancient Egyptian curses in a tomb somewhere.
Something where you'd have to physically show up.
Right. Or you're not talking about you have to dig through JSTOR and get all kinds of academic journal. We're not talking about, you're trying to find a name. Somebody who was executed in Northern Ireland in 1787. We're not talking about that level of research. But, just really simple rudimentary research on the internet. It's not tough. It's not impossible. And what really boggled my mind is it took the media so long to figure out, wait a minute, this person doesn't exist.
We're not living in the days of when you want to know something, you have to go down to the local library.
Right, and however,
look through old newspaper.
Right, and somebody would from Stanford, would call Stanford and says, Can I, because a lot of these things are, for bad or for worse, they're on the internet,
Yes.
Yeah.
So somebody, if they say, okay, this person graduated from Stanford, blah 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 blah, and somebody would have, I guess, the motivation to look it up to see if this is legit or not.
Right.
But I guess part of my disbelief is, well, one, that's the disbelief that the media took so long to find out. The other side of my disbelief is I can't believe they think they can pull this off. Because
I think the reason, the story kind of went out without checking all the facts, because I think in today's instant gratification society, there's always a push to get it out there, to be the first, and it's pretty easy to miss quite a few steps when you operate like that.
Right. So I don't know. It is this honorable mention. That's why I say, because I really don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just so astonished because this whole thing just doesn't make any sense. It's like but you won't even believe this if somebody wrote a script and then let's do a movie on this.
Right.
It's like how the hell do they think they can pull this off?
Right.
Anyway. And any comments, guys?
No. I think
you covered it quite
well.
well.
This is still developing, because we are trying to figure out if Manti Teʻo is actually involved into the
or if he was a victim.
Yeah, a victim. So if he is involved, well, first of all, if he's a victim, then I really do have to question. It's like, are you serious? Are you that gullible? Really? I mean, well, and then the really confusing part, the most confusing part to me is, I don't think, from what I read, he really didn't directly said whether he had met this fake person in person. But the father thought, at least he thought, that they have met in person several times. I guess that's one of the things that really confused me. Because I don't know. I mean, okay.
It's a little ways from Notre Dame.
Right. Now,
Stanford.
Yeah, right. And you know what? Call me old-fashioned, but you met somebody on the internet, Facebook or whatever.
Right.
However your relationship is, I don't think you can categorize that relationship as a boyfriend-girlfriend or, boyfriend-boyfriend relationship, like a romantic relationship that is going somewhere. I don't think.
Right. No,
normally you won't.
Kevin, you're so old-fashioned.
Oh, so old-fashioned, man. So,
really?
But he was saying that, he was basically saying that, yeah, she's my girlfriend. But I think that's one of these things that really confused the hell out of me, because like you have never met that person, and you think she's your girlfriend already.
Well, even in the virtual age, I think usually the way these sort of relationships would develop would be you'd meet first,
right,
and then friend each other on Facebook.
Yeah, and then you have clues, right? I mean,
right.
you have other people, coworkers that would do. There are things that would verify certain things that you read on the internet,
right?
And then a lot of times, because we are just we have lived a while, I guess there are certain things that we instinctively smell, that
right.
smell right or smell wrong, right? Smell, whether, and it's really hard to explain, because there's something that's just smell legitimate, and there's stuff that smell, not so much.
Right.
So it's hard for me to believe that somebody, oh my God, who's going to Notre Dame, and you can say, you can make fun of it, make fun of football players all you want, but I give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
You're going to a great, even though I'm not a Notre Dame fan, a great university.
Right.
You cannot tell me that you're that gullible to a level that you actually believe.
How old is this kid?
He's a football player, so he just graduated. So I assume he's 20, 22, maybe 23.
Okay, so he would be a senior.
Right? No, he's just graduated, I think.
Okay.
He actually graduated with a degree, which is a wonderful thing. But and I think that the development now is, well, if he's not involved, I guess, okay, he's not involved then. This is a really weird story that we're going to talk about, every year that Heisman pops up, right? But if he's involved...
We'll add it to our naked burglar.
Right. But if he's involved, he's part of this hoax. Right. And they cook up this thing, try to get him the Heisman. Then you know what? No NFL team's going to touch this guy.
Nope.
So his career is ruined.
I don't know. Michael Vick got hired back.
Well, true. That's true. So you're right. You're right. So who knows? This is sports we're talking about. But
speaking of dishonorable mentions, that was mine.
But the other thing is, I'm sorry, I go on and it's like dishonorable mention. I just busted that, right? But we just spend so much time on it. But there are things that normal people, when they do a certain thing, when they buy a certain thing, before they buy a certain thing, before they do and make a big decision in their life, they kind of mentally they weight things, right? Whether I should do this or, it's like a Star Trek thing, once the consequence, the cause and effect, you do one thing and then you mentally, you think, okay, what can go right, what can go wrong, and then you map out the possibilities, right?
Right.
To go through something like that, you try to perpetrate a hoax, right?
Right.
You need to mentally go through, okay, what happened if this go right down to the toilet? What is that going to mean to my career?
Right.
But anyway,
can we go to the next?
Right.
Let's go to the next one.
Sorry.
And then I want no, that's fine. Let's go to the next one, and then I want to do my fun science story.
Okay. So the next dishonorable mention. How about the CEO of Whole Foods?
CEO of Whole Foods. Sorry, John Mackey.
Okay.
And he's been interviewed, by the way, on Wednesday and on Thursday, because I heard part of this interview this morning on NPR. And here's what he said. He said Obamacare is driving up his health care costs, which he believes will ultimately he'll have to pass on to his employees. And he wrote an op-ed apparently in the Wall Street Journal in 2009 where he likened Obamacare to socialism. In the interview Wednesday and Thursday of this week, he likened Obamacare to fascism. Technically speaking, it's more like fascism. Socialism is where the government owns the means of production. So I'm quoting him. In fascism, the government doesn't own the means of production, but they do control it. And that's what's happening with our health care program with these reforms.
It's so funny to me that he's a CEO because he is not familiar with a dictionary. Okay.
Right.
Fascism in its most broadest terms is the merging of state and business interests. If we turn over our police and fire to private interests, we're turning over our prisons to private interests right now. That's fascism. When you blend the commons and you privatize them, that's fascism. So
when you say that corporations are individuals, you're getting really close to that.
No, you absolutely are. So I would say that that guy should just bang his head against the wall because he doesn't even have a basic grasp on our language.
So here's what he said today. He regrets his poor word choice.
Oh, yes.
Calling Obamacare fascism. I'll tell you what, his poor word choice, you don't throw the word fascism out there, or even socialism, as he did in 2009. Both of them are hot-button words, number one. And number two, he demonstrates that he doesn't have a basic understanding of what each of those isms is, okay? So, and it goes back to trolling. I'm sorry, but this goes right back to the top of the program where we were talking about trolling. That's what people do. They throw out these emotionally laden words that people are going to hang on to. Well, okay, then Obama is a fascist.
Well, and of course they'll hang on to him for the same reason I mentioned earlier. They know that most people aren't going to know what they mean. They'll hear it and they'll go, that's bad, without even looking it up.
Right. Yeah.
The term fascism today stirs up too much negative emotion with its horrific associations in the 20th century.
Right. I mean, kind of circle back to what we were talking about civilized society too. I mean, I don't understand why the people who have, like, I'm sure the CEO guy is going to have the best health care, money can buy. Why is it always that people who have
in his defense,
right.
his company, Whole Foods, does afford their employees, no matter if they're part-time or full-time,
right.
Health care benefits. Right. Okay, but
well,
he is saying that Obamacare is driving up his health care costs, and it's actually insurance companies.
Well, I have this really nonsensical. Jeez, the dishonorable mention thing is not really working that well, isn't it? But I mean, one of the thing that inspired me about not answering troll is somebody was saying that I made a comment on a friend's page that says, well, you know what? In principle, though, healthcare should be free,
right.
And I guess we all understand what that free means: free to the end user, not actually free. Right, and then the person responds says, "Well, so you're going to tell MDs who went to school for many years to work for free?" I mean, nonsensical stuff like that. There's just make no sense to reply. So, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, for the end users, it has to. In a civilized society, we just need to take care of people. I mean, there's no if and or but about it. Anyway, I said my piece on that one.
If I may,
Go ahead, sir.
Now put a neat little bow on our little show.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about vomiting.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
There's one more thing, right? Are we done with this CEO guy from Whole Foods?
I believe we are.
So another quick hit, the last quick hit on the dishonorable mention thing is the conspiracy theorist on this Newtown massacre.
Oh boy.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on these guys, but you know what? Guess what? Not everything that shows up on your acid trip needs to come out into the open.
You know what?
I think that says it better than anything I've heard so far.
You opened a can and there are now worms everywhere. But I'm just going to let them scurry away because I could rip on this all day.
But you know what? I don't even know if it's worth our time.
No,
to take these guys on.
I just think, it's. I mean, yes, you have the right to not believe in anything, but I mean, give it a little common sense, will you? I mean, how many people has to be in it in order to be a conspiracy?
Everybody.
Like everybody. Right?
Everybody.
Right?
Like the moon landing.
And there are certain things that you can't fake. Like a lot of emotions you can't fake. I mean, there are, when you look at they just have a service for, they have a gathering for the kids' parents,
right? And
you look at their faces, you can't. However good of you can argue that, of course, but however good actors there are, there's stuff that you just can't fake. You can't fake, and how many people has to be in it in order for this to get perpetrated? It just doesn't make any sense. And you know what? Really, 2 weeks after the actual thing happened, and you're going to spin this theory? A little respect, will you? I mean, if you want to do, think in a, way outside of the box, right? Can you wait 6 months?
Or at least just keep it to yourself.
Right. So anyway, so I just think, I mean, I'm sure most everybody in the world think these people are a little bit crazy. But just that, it's stuff like this that, really make you tear your hair out, which I don't have much to do. But,
I don't have any.
Yeah.
What I would like to do as a part of this show is after we finish each of these episodes, I would like to start putting up links to some of the stories that we mentioned on the show.
Right.
And so this one, if definitely not tonight, but either tomorrow or definitely by the time this show comes out, I will be posting a video of vomiting Larry. Now hold on. It's not this is a science story. A robot that vomits on command is the latest weapon in Britain's war on the norovirus, a disease currently affecting more than 1 million people. Now, the norovirus is a serious disease over there. And think about it. If you get the norovirus on a cruise ship, that's that's death just waiting to happen with all those people in close quarters.
Right.
So Vomiting Larry, who is a very serious robot, they gave him lips and a mouth and teeth and a tongue and a uvula and everything, so that it actually acts like. And then he's got an esophagus, a stretchy esophagus, and it goes down to a pump in his stomach, which violently shoves out the contents of his stomach. And then what they do is they clean it up. They put the radioactive, or not the radioactive, but the blacklight reactive dye into his vomit, and it gets all over the place. And then they proceed to clean everything up, and then they flip on the blue lights to see if they can, if they've gotten everything, because they're trying to test good way. First of all, how far it goes when somebody does vomit, and when they've got, especially when they've got the norovirus, and then how deep the contents of their stomach go into things, so that, because it doesn't take much liquid to come in contact with much vomit in order for you to contract the norovirus. But the video and the scientist that they have in the video, bless her heart, just does it with a straight face and doesn't even flinch. And so I'll post the video now. They call him Vomiting Larry, which I don't understand. Why not Ralph or Chuck? But vomiting Larry, I guess. Okay, that's.
Well, with that, let's wrap up the show. Well, thanks again for listening this week, and give us a like on Facebook. Find us here and there. Send us messages. Talk back to us. Whatever. So, all right. So, well, hopefully we have good news, more good news next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.